Episode 13 of the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer live stream podcast, broadcasting live every Sunday at 3 p.m., discussing a new topic in workers' compensation and employment rights. My name is Attorney Alexander Napolin. I'm here with Attorney George Abuado. Today we're discussing qualified medical evaluations, also known as the QME. If you're an injured worker, you're going to receive something in the mail that's either going to accept or deny your claim. And in that packet, if it's a denial, it's going to offer you the ability to obtain a qualified medical evaluation. So if you're an injured worker in California, you're going to be wondering what all of that is. It's going to be confusing. You need to listen to this short 10-minute discussion that George and I put together about qualified medical evaluators. Then you need to call a workers' compensation lawyer in the Inland Empire. Dial 844-984-8414 to reach us. That's our Injury Helpline. That's where you can receive legal advice. The information that we're discussing is general in nature only. It's not legal advice. For legal advice, you need to speak with a lawyer, and after they learn the specific facts of your case, then they give you that feedback. That's legal advice. So with that said, George, what's a qualified medical evaluation? What happens? Why is it important?
Now, as you said, if they get a denial in the mail, it might be that they get that information, but a lot of people don't actually read everything. So they might not know that they're entitled to a doctor. And I've seen a lot of times when they're not represented and they get that packet and the adjuster's going to explain it to them. He or she's going to say something like, well, you can go see another doctor, but right now we'll offer you this much money if you just want to close out your claim. What they're telling you is give up your rights to a final report from a qualified medical examiner, and we'll offer you some money to go away. So what's important to understand is that you have a right to a panel qualified medical examiner before your claim can be closed. That right is inherent in your workers' compensation claim, and that is a very important right because the neutral panel qualified medical examiner is a doctor that is certified by the state in order to perform these evaluations and give their professional medical expert opinion.
Yeah, it's the neutral doctor.
Right.
Neutral doctor, it's supposed to be neutral. It's not your primary treating physician. Your treating physician is something different. That's the doctor who treats you. You're probably at the industrial clinic or you might be at another office. Doctor's prescribing medication. Qualified medical evaluation is something completely separate.
Right.
It's like what we call a med legal. It's not quite just medical.
Right.
It's a medical for your legal case.
Correct.
And I think they produce a report. It's usually pretty substantial. The judge takes the QME report pretty seriously as well, even though I think it's supposed to be even with the PTP report, which is primary treating physician's opinion.
We'll call them QMEs. It could be PQME, QME, qualified medical examiner. What the QME is going to do is before they even see you, they get sent every single medical report, every single set of pertinent information, including possibly a deposition transcript, so they can know the most about your claim, the most about you, about your medical history, about your activities in your daily life. They take all that information and review it prior to seeing the injured worker. Once they see the injured worker, they're going to perform a lot of exams. And once they have all the information that they feel that they need in order to provide a report, they provide a pretty lengthy report. This is not like a primary treating physician report. This must address certain issues. And if they don't address those issues, it could be called non-substantial medical evidence. So that's one good way to attack a QME report if it's not favorable to you. But they got to report on all these issues. Some of these issues are the mechanism of injury, causation, whether or not you've reached a point of maximum medical improvement or you've been reached a permanent and stationary point, future medical that you might need, or apportionment in your claim and the body parts and your permanent disability. So there's a lot of issues that are addressed, Alex. I think it's really important to prepare a client really well for their evaluation with a panel qualified medical examiner. What do you think about this issue? How do you go about preparing your client?
You have a qualified medical evaluation coming up. It's going to be a good idea that you contact a workers' compensation lawyer, period, to get legal advice about what to do. Because the specifics of your case are going to dictate how you present to that doctor. It might depend on who the doctor is. You know, workers' compensation lawyers like myself and George, we know most of the doctors who are on these panels. We at least know of them, or we can connect with other lawyers who know who the doctor is to give our client a little bit of insight about what they're facing. But so that's one thing that we do to prepare a client.
Right.
And also just that the client has a general understanding of how to express what happened to them to the doctor is important. So all these things lawyers do for clients. So if you're going through the QME process and you don't have a lawyer yet, you need to get someone like George or myself on your side so that we can help you. All the different benefits that you can receive under workers' compensation law, you can learn about all those different benefits on our channel. This qualified medical evaluation, this paperwork that you have is very important because that doctor is paid to write a comprehensive neutral report that addresses all of the concerns of the case. Now, it may be that your dispute with the employer is outside of what the QME can comment on. Your credibility, whether or not an injury happened or something even occurred. Or maybe there's some other legal defense.
There might be issues that they can't comment on, or they might refrain from commenting on. But a lot of times I've seen, Alex, that they do comment on whether or not the patient is reliable, whether they believe they're a credible witness. They will put that in the report. So it's very important to go in there not looking nervous. Obviously, you're going to tell the truth. So exude that honesty. You know, go in there, sure of yourself, letting them know exactly what's hurting you, how you feel, how it affects your daily activities, but try to do it in a way that is very believable because you are telling the truth, right? So doctors will comment on that in the report. They'll say something like, so-and-so is a very nice individual. They seem to be well kept. Their hygiene was good. So they'll comment on all those things and they'll say they seem to be a very credible witness. Their mechanism of injury does sound like it correlates with their injuries. So they will comment on what you say happened and the injuries that they see. And a lot of times that's going to lend great weight and credibility to your claim, because even if the employer is claiming that you never fell at work, the doctor can say, well, I believe this patient. They told me they fell at work. The injuries are consistent with them falling at work, so I don't see why that wouldn't be the case. So even though it might be an issue to litigate in court, this could lend great weight and help out a lot when we go to trial. So they do comment on those things, even if they're not the final say-so of, did you fall at work or not. They will comment on it. Now, we talked about a QME, Alex, but there's a different doctor that could perform the same type of evaluation. What would that be?
So the qualified medical evaluation is basically the state issues a panel of 3 doctors in the specialty that you request, and then you pick one of those doctors, and that's your qualified medical evaluator. Now, if you have a lawyer, it's a little different. Your lawyer strikes one, the defendant or the insurance adjuster or the defense attorney strikes one, and then you're left with the third option. So there's another route. It's called the agreed medical evaluator, and that is only something that you obtain when you have a lawyer. And that's a doctor that your lawyer trusts is going to be fair, is not going to commit one of these bogus reports on you.
I like AMEs, and the reason I like them is because unlike a QME, the court looks at them very differently. They do look at them as a neutral doctor, but with an AME, both parties are presenting this doctor to the court saying, Your Honor, we chose this doctor. We agreed to use him as a medical examiner, thus the name, right? Agreed medical examiner. We agreed, and this is the doctor we're going to use.
There's less risk that you're going to be mistreated because the AME is a doctor that the lawyer has used before, the insurance company has used before, and the insurance and the lawyer write to the doctor as usually a joint letter, and that doctor is in a position, well, I'm not going to do anything wrong here. I want to keep this relationship where I keep getting agreed to. So I'm going to be as fair as possible.
Right. That's pretty much the difference between a QME and an AME. There's a lot of questions, I'm sure. Once again, write your questions down on our YouTube channel, on our Facebook channel, and we'll get to them. We'll get back to you. If you want to make an appointment with us, Alex, how do they make an appointment?
You dial the Injury Helpline, 844-984-8414. That's how you get legal advice. That's how you get a free consultation. Take a look at our channel and see what we have available. There's a lot of information that you can obtain just by going on there, surfing through, finding the topic that you're in need of more information about. It might be the qualified medical evaluation. It might be the treatment at the industrial medical clinic. It might be you've received a denial. You need more information. You need to listen to the discussions found at the Inland Empire Workers' Compensation Lawyer live stream podcast. But if you need legal advice, you need to give the Injury Helpline a call. Dial 844-984-8414. Until next week, have a good one.